Dude, I'm so excited to have a drink with you on the podcast this week, but I've been getting worried we're never going to get there.
Because we're messing with our sound.
Yeah, we made this drink like 20 minutes ago.
I haven't even taken a sip yet because I haven't had a dark night, which is what we're having. Cheers in a long time.
Cheers.
Let's take a little sip of dark night. We haven't had this in ages. Oh, so good.
Ah, it's really good.
It's a bullet rye, Angostura bitters, vanille de Madagascar, ancho chili liqueur.
Ancho raised chili liqueur. What's
and a big old ice ball.
There's two different types of bitters. And Averna. You forgot Averna. Half ounce Averna, half ounce ancho raised, quarter ounce of vanille de Madagascar, 1.5 ounces of rye, Underbergs, 1 dash of Underbergs, and 2 dashes of Angostura. But I didn't use Angostura because I found a new company called Scrappy that's Seattle based that makes really good bitters.
Yeah.
And so I got their bitters instead.
Make America great again, baby.
Yeah. And then an orange peel. See how pretty it is?
And a big ice ball.
Yeah. I like big balls.
I do not lie.
So I forgot what I was going to say.
Oh.
Probably because we're being recorded and I'm so nervous. We are recording ourselves. We're not sure if we're going to put this one up on YouTube or not. But we are experimenting with video and trying to see how it does for us. And so far, I hate it.
Yeah, it's adding a whole bunch of like layers of complexity.
Yeah, we need a bigger podcast studio.
Yeah, we should just knock down this place and like redo it.
Yeah.
We literally redid this like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, it finished being done like 2 weeks ago.
We're going to need the entire basement.
Yeah. We think we could use the entire basement for it, especially if you're doing video and you want to have multiple angles and all this stuff.
Yeah.
But now I've found out I've got the wrong mixer. I need one that does multi-track USB in order to set triggers for the... I'm just going to ask your brother. I'm sure he'll know.
Yeah, that'll go well.
He's like, yeah, I don't know. Just got to look on YouTube. What do you have? Well, I have a mixer.
Yeah.
Okay.
And 2 twins, so I don't have time to tell you what kind of mixer.
He has twins. He's busy with that. Oh, look. And these are the batteries I just had to replace. There you go.
So is this recording us now?
Yeah.
Video. Okay. So I got to like make sure I don't like pick my nose and...
Yeah, not like normal. Yeah. Don't start masturbating in the middle of the show like you normally do when Claire Thacker calls from England.
Jeez, talk about Puritan society I'm living in.
Yeah. And so we have a new mixer this week. So hopefully this sounds good because we were just playing around with it right beforehand and it sounds all buzzy to you.
Hissy.
But it sounds okay to me. So, and I'm connected directly to the sound recorder. So
cool. How's it going?
Good. I just had a test today. They checked my corduroy arteries.
You can never say that word.
Well, there's a lot of words I can't say anymore. Corduroy?
What kind of car do you drive?
A Tesloid. A
Tizoid.
Yeah.
Carotid artery.
Carotid arteries. They checked my carotid arteries for plaque buildup from cholesterol today.
How many carotid arteries do you have?
I think you have 2, right? They're right here in your neck.
Oh, I thought it was just 1.
Yeah. I mean, if I only have 1, I don't know what the hell she was doing the rest of the time.
Right. Huh.
I feel like I have 2. Are they these right here?
Because on TV they always say you almost that bullet almost severed your carotid artery.
I think they're right here.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
No, these are?
Seems like they should say one of your 2 carotid arteries.
Right.
Everything I know about biology I learned from TV.
Yeah. I could be completely wrong about this. But anyway, they have a little ultrasound thingy, just like every ultrasound you've seen. But she's able to maneuver it down. So she follows it all the way down, like almost to the heart. And then she follows it up into the brain and looks at it. So I haven't got the results from that yet, but I already know what they're going to be. So
What are they going to be?
You're fine and healthy. We don't know why you had a stroke.
Yeah. Yeah. It seems like that's just a indictment on the medical profession.
Yeah.
Either your instruments are wrong or you're stupid. Because like if I'm fine, I wouldn't have had a stroke. We know I had a stroke, so therefore you're either an idiot or your instruments suck and they can't detect anything.
Yeah, I feel like doctors are guessing at least half of the time.
Yeah.
And it's just like, we don't know exactly what caused this, so we're just going to put you on blood thinners because that's just kind of
what we do.
Catch-all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
to help you not have a stroke again.
Yeah.
So anyway, about these cocktails, which I first discovered this one in Napa at the Hyatt Andaz, and I was like, this is the best thing I've ever had. I want to try to start drinking higher quality liquor and cocktails in general, but especially on this show.
So the Albertsons brand bourbon that I buy for $11.88 for a big jug of it is no longer good enough for you.
We can we can have one of those here for you, for when we're not recording, and along with some kind of diabetes inducing diet soda.
You know what would be nice is if we actually were sponsored by any of these fuckers that we're giving free advertising to, so that we got something out of this. We need a quid pro quo. If you know what I mean.
We'll decorate this more when we have time. We've got our Drunk Ex-Pastor's 100th episode poster up there.
Yep.
I was thinking just in general, I am going to not be drinking as much in general because of having had a stroke. But when I do drink, I want it to be something I sip on that's good and the least unhealthy for me that it can possibly be as far as alcohol goes. So like wine or some kind of cocktail with higher quality liquor that doesn't have soda in it.
Okay. All right.
So I might be done with the Fireball shots for now.
Really? Well, you haven't had one in like a month.
Yeah.
Me, I'm having a BSB brown sugar bourbon shot, baby.
Yeah, nice.
This podcast is brought to you by nobody, because nobody gives a shit about us, and they won't sponsor us.
Or we're too lazy to get those sponsorships.
Dude,
one thing I want to say real quick about the cocktails: if somebody has a cocktail they really like, that they consider themselves some kind of mixologist, I'll make it for us, and we can try it on the podcast.
We should serve this at the Well and Table.
You really should.
Which, if you're not aware, is my restaurant.
Yeah. Jason has signed the lease Jason and Jeannie have signed the lease for their restaurant, the Well and Table, in in Issaquah, in the Gilman Village area. Mm-hmm. And pretty excited. Yeah, so did you guys get started on the remodeling and everything?
Not yet. She's in San Francisco. She's on her. Well, she just landed.
Oh, she's like, I just signed a lease. I'm going on vacation.
She went to Chez Panisse and ate at Alice Waters' restaurant in Berkeley. She had
are those things supposed to mean something to me?
Chez Panisse is, I only know about it because of Janie.
Okay.
Alice Waters is, she started Chez Panisse in Berkeley in like 1971.
Is she Alice from the diner?
Alice's restaurant?
The diner?
Oh, no.
Alice? No? Okay.
That's Linda Lavin.
Okay. Her son, the son in the show just died. Jack Burns. Wait, no.
Philip McKeon is the son of the show.
Yeah. Philip McKeon just died.
He died?
Yeah. He's like 54 or something.
I was on TMZ today. I didn't see anything about it.
Is he Nancy McKeon's
brother? Nancy McKeon, or otherwise known as Joe from Facts of Life.
Yeah.
And Philip McKeon played Tommy. Alice, played by Linda Lavin's son. Co-starring Beth Howland as Vera. Vic Tayback as Mel's Diner. And Polly Holiday as Flo.
Well, oh my God. How do you know that stuff?
How do you not?
Yet you forgot to register for the cruise.
Yeah. And I just had to go pay my water bill at the city hall.
Why'd you have to pay your water bill,
Because they shut my water off. That's how I do.
Yeah, he died today.
Holy crap balls.
Philip McKeon.
How'd he die?
It doesn't say how.
Dude, you know why Juice WRLD died?
A long illness.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you know what? You know Juice WRLD died, the rapper.
I didn't know who he was before I heard that Juice WRLD died.
The cops were... I think it's the second time the DEA or whatever has like searched his private jet, and all the luggage, and they found like 70 pounds of marijuana.
Yeah.
And I guess there were a bunch of pills.
Uh-huh.
I don't know what they were.
Yeah.
I think Percocets or something.
Okay.
But he swallowed all of them in order to hide. The people are speculating. They know he swallowed a bunch of pills.
Yeah.
And then he had a seizure at the airport. And they're speculating that he did it because he didn't want the cops to catch him with all these pills, all these perks on him.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. So he swallowed all of them. And then he died. Yeah.
See, that is exactly the way I don't want to go, having done something idiotic like that.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Having like shoved something up in my ass that like a switchblade, and then it goes off. And then I bleed out.
Like I have a hollow point bullet, and the bullet is illegal, and the cops are coming, so I just shoot myself in the mouth with it. Hey, you're not going to catch me with it.
Or you shove it in your ass, and then you sit down real hard, and it goes off.
Yeah. And it just rips up my insides.
No, something that is just completely unnecessary.
Yeah.
And that you actually end up looking stupid.
Yeah, like I fed myself to a python. I don't know. It seemed like a good idea at the time, but I've been slowly digesting.
You were playing hide and seek.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, this would be a killer place to hide.
Yeah.
And then you end up dying.
Yeah. In my neighborhood, kids were playing hide and seek.
Yeah.
And like a month ago, one of them ended up in an abandoned refrigerator.
This is real? A story? This is a real story? Or are you making something up?
Everyone's freaking out about it. But I said, who cares? How many kids do you know who get to die a winner?
That's right. That would be Anthony Jeselnik's joke right there.
Yeah, I thought of it after he told it, and he stole it from me preemptively.
I was on Caleb Arab Grievances Caleb Rose podcast last week.
Oh, really?
I was a guest. Yeah,
cool.
It was interesting because it was kind of I'm pretty comfortable with you and with my quirks now.
Yeah.
After the stroke and the things I say funny, but I was a little bit nervous talking to a couple of people, Brian and Caleb, that I haven't talked to since I had a stroke.
Did they say anything?
They just mocked me incessantly.
Yeah, well, as they should.
No, I think it went fine, actually.
Why were you on it? I mean, what was
You've been on it. Why were you on it?
What was the topic, though? I mean, was there this topic that...
Does there need to be a topic? Can I just be entertaining without there being a topic?
I haven't heard it. I don't know. We'll see.
I don't think there was a topic.
Okay.
If there was, I talked over it. It just kept talking. I talked a lot about the stroke.
I was going to say the topic is trying to get back to normal life after a stroke.
Yeah.
Here's a guy who's trying.
I talked a lot about the stroke, and I talked a lot about death because I'm like, everybody loves to hear about death.
Oh, my God, dude. Have we been getting a lot of shit from people about how negative we are? I know I have. About how I'm just this nihilist and everything sucks.
A little bit, yes.
Yeah, and then I guess somebody left us a voicemail complaining about you, which is a nice change of pace.
Yeah. I'm gonna play that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are we playing the one where the guy tells me to go fuck myself, and it takes him two full 3-minute voicemails to get out his anger?
Yeah. So that was Brendan from Bellingham's voicemail, and he wrote us an apology afterwards. But
and he upped his Patreon pledge.
He upped his pledge because he felt bad, I think. I want to play it, but I forgot to listen to it, so we're gonna have to find it. And if we can find it, I'll play it.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's the one with a bunch of F asterisk asterisk asterisks after it in the Google transcription.
Let me see. Let me just look real quick.
Yeah. He was pretty mad at me.
Is it the one that starts like this?
I am so fucking pissed at you guys right now.
That's the one.
All right, we'll come back to that.
Okay.
All right. Anyway, I'm Christian.
I'm Jason.
And you're listening to Drunk Ex-Pastors. Are you supposed to look at the camera? I feel like you're not, right?
I'm not gonna.
Like people, like Joe Rogan, they never look at the camera, right?
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of Joe Rogan, a couple weeks ago, after Chris Kresser was on Joe Rogan debunking the Game Changers documentary on Netflix, which people called up and said, "Hey, you should talk about this on Drunk Ex-Pastors."
Didn't we talk about this last week?
No.
I thought we did.
About Chris Kresser and the debunking?
Mm-hmm.
Or about the
whole debunking and the debunking.
Oh, did we?
I don't know. I don't remember.
I mean, you and I have hung out like 3 times since the last podcast, which is
I think
unusual.
we talked about it in real life.
Yeah.
Or IRL as the
because I don't think I listened to it yet. Last week, we did not talk about it. Last week on Wednesday or Thursday, another episode came out with James Wilkes, who is one of the producers of the Game Changers documentary and was one of the main people in it.
James Wilkes Booth?
No, not that one. Like, why would you name your kid?
Was that his name, James Wilkes Booth, or was it something else Wilkes Booth? John Wilkes Booth.
Is that it? Okay. Well, how about there's that one, she's a director or something. Her name is Penny Lane. I'm like, that's cool. That's like you had the last name Lane. Your parents were cool enough to name you Penny.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, James Wilkes was invited on Joe Rogan to refute Chris Kresser's debunking of the Game Changers.
And they were on at the same time.
Yeah, so it was Joe, Chris, and James talking there. And James is a pretty good debater, and Chris Kresser is not. But James also knows his stuff really well. He's spent thousands of hours studying this. He's an MMA combatives instructor. Mm-hmm. And he just kind of destroyed him. It started with Joe and Chris kind of being on the same side because of their previous episode, and kind of not letting James talk and stuff. And James finally got into a groove after about an hour. It's almost 4 hours long.
Jeez.
And James kind of got into a groove and started showing where Chris Kresser's information is wrong, and kind of destroyed him. Now, it doesn't mean he completely destroyed all the science or arguments and everything, but
science in quotes.
But he did destroy his debunking of Game Changers. And he even asked Chris at one time, like, so what do you have to say about this? He's like, well, you make some good points, but Chris was just quiet at the end. And I'm thinking is like, why did I ever come back on Joe Rogan's podcast after this? It was pretty fun to listen to and to watch.
That's cool.
Anyway, somebody upped their pledge on Patreon, one of our patrons. That was John L. So you're going to do a shot for him and for everybody. I'm still not to shots. I'm just starting the drinking now. So
do I have an outline or no?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there it is. Oh,
yep. That's it though. That's all you really needed to know.
Yeah, John L. Okay, dude.
But I do want to say he left a note for us as to why he upped his pledge.
Did you notice that we also had someone decrease their pledge?
Yeah,
by like $1 more than he upped his. So we're net.
Oh, yeah.
That's a net loss.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm curious what the reasoning was for that decrease. Is it? I mean, there's no bitterness at all because the person who did it has been a long time supporter of ours and supported us quite a bit. But I'm just curious. Was there some kind of, was it financial, or did you do your budget and it was like $4?
Yeah, that $4 is really gonna be the difference between living on the street.
So if you want to give us a call and let us know why you did that,
explain yourself
in your deep, manly, wonderful voice. We'll listen to it. But let me give the note real quick.
Oh yeah.
John L says, increasing my monthly contribution for $3 specifically for Christians' defense of the influential film Home Alone. I watched this movie when I was like 8, and credit for my lifelong habit of always scanning my environment for objects that can be used to defeat intruders. For example, most people consider those decor ball things people put on their coffee table to be useless. I buy marble ones and regularly practice throwing them like baseballs. That's all Home Alone, man. It taught a generation that design doesn't just have to be about aesthetics. It can be about righteous carnage as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, John. This is for you and for everyone else who shared us on social media.
You got to do the little clink on the glass.
Well, but that's only when you and I are toasting each other.
Oh, okay.
So I'm not going to do it.
Well, that's fine.
All right.
People like to hear it. It's like Pavlov's dog. They're no.
How's that? Ooh, that was good.
Not good.
Little BSB there.
Little liquid French toast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, dude, how does it feel for me to be relatively skinnier than you?
I wouldn't know.
You just ignorant?
No, I mean I have never experienced that in my life.
Well, actually you have, because I have weighed less than you in 2010. But I think we agreed mutually that the difference in our weight is relatively 15 pounds because of my legs.
I think each of your legs is 15 pounds.
More than yours?
Yeah.
So if I weigh...
So when you're 30 pounds, when you're... Wait, no, it's not going to help me.
When I 30... No, it doesn't help you, but it's true. When I weigh 30 pounds more than you do, we weigh the same. We look the same, except for our legs.
I don't know about that. This is touching upon my vanity.
Sensitive topic.
Yeah.
No, I have gotten down. My goal was to get to 195 by the cruise and do it in a healthy way, not like losing 5 pounds in a week by losing a bunch of water weight because I'm not eating any carbs. And I was 196.4 yesterday, and I was 197.0 today. To me, that's when it's like, okay, you're really actually there. You know, I might go up to 198 for a day, but you're there for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
And I was 199 at night when I was getting into bed last night. So that's after I drank and
You weigh yourself at
drunk
night?
and eaten. Not normally, but I was getting in the shower, so I'm like, I'm naked. Might as well weigh myself.
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't mind losing a little bit by the cruise if I decide.
You should.
If I decide to go.
You should lose some for sure, because when I take off my shirt in Mexico, and you're not gonna want to take your shirt off.
No one's gonna want to take their shirt off.
No.
It's gonna be like, you know, we're good.
The last cruise not the last cruise, 2 cruises ago, the DXP cruise 2 years ago, we were out on the beach on that little private island, right? Was it Labadee?
No, that wasn't the XP cruise.
Yeah, it was. Because Ben and Jen were there. We were out by the water.
They weren't there in Labadee.
It wasn't at Labadee then.
I know what you're talking about though. Where the zip line was, that big zip line.
Yeah,
It doesn't matter. Tell your story. Like the details don't matter.
Okay. Okay.
Janie will do that all the time, where she's telling the story and then she'll get caught on this detail. Like, was it? It's like in Friends when Joey was like, "It was back when I was 15," and he's like, "No, I was 16." He's like, "No, wait, hold on, no, I was 15," or whatever. Chandler's just like, "Who cares?"
Yeah.
It's incidental.
I just remember being out there. We're by the water, and I'm like, I just don't want to take my shirt off. It's like, this is just a nightmare, because we're with like 10 people out there, and you had told me before the cruise, there's no way you're taking your shirt off on the cruise.
Okay.
And I was like, yeah, good. That's how I feel, you know?
Yeah.
And then we got out there and you took your shirt off
Oh.
when we were out there. And I was like, oh, fuck me. Like, I'm about to take my shirt off too, or else it's going to look, if you leave it to your people's imagination, it's going to be worse in their head than it actually is.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I hope, I'm pretty sure I look just like Jason. I'm like, at least I have that comfort that we both look pretty much the same.
Yeah. It's funny though, because the whole fitness working out thing,
Yeah.
with the goal of being able to take your shirt off in public,
Yes.
is pretty stupid. Because if you think about it, when are you in a position, unless your job is to be a lifeguard, or unless you have some job where it's like, oh, well, I'm an ab model,
Right.
or whatever. A normal person, like you don't take your shirt off in front of strangers usually.
But people who have abs and look good find excuses to take their shirt off.
Yeah,
Any
like-
chance they get.
Like both of your sons.
Yeah, they just walk in the door and it's like,
And they're
it was 30 degrees outside, but it's 70 here. It feels really hot. I got to take my shirt off.
Yeah.
And you look at them and go, I'd take my shirt off too.
If I look like that.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I don't think I'm ever going to be at a point where I take my shirt off and people are like, damn, like you look good, like I was in 2010.
Mm-hmm.
But what I want is to take my shirt off and people to not notice anything.
Yeah, I don't want them to I want them to look at me and not throw up. You know?
Yeah.
That's my goal.
That was my whole goal with how I looked 15 years ago. The fight I had with my ex-wife, where I was like, I don't feel like when I walk past people in a mall that any girls go like, oh, he's really good looking. I also don't feel like they look at me and go, gross. I just all I'm asking for is that I'm just an average looking.
And all she needed to do in that moment was like go, yeah.
Right.
And
That's all I was looking for. The acknowledgement that, honey, person who I've been married to for 10 years, you're average looking.
Yeah, but did she give you that?
No, I didn't get that.
No, she
I
didn't.
got an argument trying to explain to her what I meant, because I thought to myself, there's no way she understands what I mean.
Right.
She's
because
not
she's
getting
going
it.
out of her way to try to argue with me about the fact that I'm below average looking. And that no, people do see you and they say gross.
Right. I do feel that I have aged better now, though, and I would even say that I am slightly above average now.
Oh,
Yeah.
look at that.
I'm happy about that.
See?
Yeah, 10 years ago I would have just said just average, but now I think I'm slightly above average.
Well, that's the unfair scale of being a man.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like you could be not even noticed in high school,
Yeah.
but it's like if by the time you're 40,
I was noticed for not having eyebrows.
right?
Yeah, that was cool.
That's the first thing I noticed about you.
Yeah.
Um,
After you noticed that I was broken down on the side of the freeway.
oh yeah, I'm like, oh, that guy. It sucks to be
The
him.
no eyebrow
eyebrows,
guy
now-
is
now
broken
this.
down on the side of the freeway.
His
I
life
should laugh at him
double
and
sucks.
point as I drive past.
But if you're not good looking at all in high school,
Yeah.
But when you're 40, if you're still like relatively slim,
Right.
if you're just relatively slim, it's like, dude.
If you can get to a point where you can take your shirt off and nobody notices anything,
Yeah.
you're better looking already than you were in high school.
There's an Onion article the other day I saw where it says 40-year-old recently divorced man struggling to navigate the college dating scene. I told that to Janie, and I don't think she was amused.
Yeah, I could see her not being amused with that. I think she's probably amused on the inside.
Sure.
At your insight. But anyway, all right, I think I have a voicemail for us.
Okay.
Yeah. Can't believe stuff's working so far with this new mixer. All right, here we go.
DXP, what's happened? This is Ben from Atlanta, Georgia. You guys are currently depressing the fuck out of me. Christian sounds like he's about to go off himself. I would just encourage you guys, if you have not watched the optimistic nihilism video on YouTube, Christian just said something about wondering what it felt like for there to be nothing after you die, and they talk about that a little bit in there. Anyway, Christian, I hope you make it to the next episode in your cruise. Dick Bush out.
Hey, I made it to the next episode. That's for sure, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to make it to the cruise.
Yeah. I like the fact that you're finally getting yelled at.
Yeah, although I think it was more just out of concern and care for me than anger.
Right. I wish I could evoke those feelings in people.
Yeah. So I talked a lot about death on the last episode, which I asked Vicky after she listened to it. I'm like, did it seem like Jason was understanding what I was saying, or like he's just because I was talking about how everybody's gonna die.
Oh yeah,
and you were like, yeah,
no shit.
And I'm like, but no, but it's profound and deep to me. And you're like, yeah, no, I've always known this.
Well, I just don't understand why there's this gravitas behind this point. It's like, yeah, everyone who's ever lived has died.
Well, there's that quote by, I don't know if it's by Jack Kerouac or someone like that, but someone along those lines from that era. And they're just basically saying the whole thing's a circus, right? Like everybody's going to die. We're so worried about all this stuff, but in the end, we're all just going to die, you know?
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I was trying to get to last week, and what I was thinking about today too, where I was like, the whole thing is absurd, you know? I mean, the only way that it's not absurd, this is the thing too, it's absurd even if Christianity is true, like evangelical Christianity is true, and the majority of people are going to hell, and some people are going to heaven. That's absurd too, right? That everybody who's ever lived is going to suffer forever in eternity. That's also absurd. So that doesn't necessarily give it meaning. But like the idea, when you think about it, if you don't think about it in terms of heaven and hell and afterlife and all this stuff, the fact that everyone who's here just dies just kind of makes the whole thing like, what are we fighting about and stuff? Why are we so angry? Why are we trying so hard to get like the most we can get while we're here? You know, why are we so offended by all these things? I would like to be able to remember this all the time. I can't, obviously.
Do you apply that to what you would consider to be fights for the common good and for justice? Or are you just talking about petty squabbling?
Petty squabbling. Most of our wars are over like how much money we can have, you know, a country can have. But no, I think I'm going to play a clip from this optimistic nihilism video, and it kind of talks about this, about one of the things we can do to give our lives meaning while we're here is make other people's lives better, you know? And so I get that part of it, but just the whole thing, we get so mad, angry, you know, because, you know, someone cut us off on the freeway, but it's like, dude, we're all going to the same, we're all on our way to death right now. We're all like working our way here as best as we can. Like, but we're getting so pissed off about every little thing, you know? I am too. I'm mocking you, but you know, I also am getting angry about things. You know?
Yeah. So play that clip.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so there's this optimistic nihilism. I have it started at the point I think it would be interesting too. It's about there's about the first half of it is talking about how we got here in the universe and it's all gonna die eventually.
Is this a podcast or what is this? Or just a one-off YouTube video?
It's a 6-minute YouTube video.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I'm going to play the second half of it. And maybe I wonder if I can actually put the video of the second half of it in here while we're playing this in our video, if we decide to put this up on youtube.com/drunkexpastors. I actually don't even know. I don't know if that's our URL. All right, here we go.
Our videos induce existential dread in many people, and the last few minutes probably haven't helped. So for once, we want to offer a different way of looking at these things. An unscientific, subjective point of view. The philosophy of Kurzgesagt, if you want. Please take it with a grain of salt. We don't know any more about human existence than you do. We counter existential dread with optimistic nihilism. What do we mean by that? Well, to summarize, it seems very unlikely that 200 trillion stars have been made for us. In a way, it feels like the cruelest joke in existence has been played on us. We became self-aware only to realize this story is not about us. While it is great to know about electrons and the powerhouse of the cell, science doesn't do a lot to make this less depressing. Okay, but so what? You only get one shot at life, which is scary, but it also sets you free. If the universe ends in heat death, every humiliation you suffer in your life will be forgotten. Every mistake you made will not matter in the end. Every bad thing you did will be voided. If our life is all we get to experience, then it's the only thing that matters. If the universe has no principles, the only principles relevant are the ones we decide on. If the universe has no purpose, then we get to dictate what its purpose is. Humans will most certainly cease to exist at some point. But before we do, we get to explore ourselves and the world around us. We get to experience feelings. We get to experience food, books, sunrises, and being with each other. The fact that we're even able to think about these things is already kind of incredible. It's easy to think of ourselves as separated from everything, but this is not true. We are as much the universe as a neutron star, or a black hole, or a nebula. Even better, actually, we are its thinking and feeling part, the sensory organs of the universe. We are truly free in a universe-sized playground. So we might as well aim to be happy and to build some kind of utopia in the stars. It's not as if we found out everything there is to know. We don't know why the rules of the universe are as they are, how life came into existence, what life is. We have no idea what consciousness is, or if we are alone in the universe. But we can try to find some answers. There are billions of stars to visit, diseases to cure, people to help, happy feelings to be experienced, and video games to finish. There is so much to do. So wrapping up, you've probably used up a good chunk of the time available to you. If this is our one shot at life, there is no reason not to have fun and live as happily as possible. Bonus points if you make the life of other people better. More bonus points if you help build a galactic human empire. Do the things that make you feel good. You get to decide whatever this means for you.
Okay, so for me, watching this, it brings up a lot of the questions that we talked about during our conversations about materialism, right? Like, it's nihilism, or nihilism, as you call it with a British accent, I guess. Is it nihilism with American accent, or nihilism?
I don't know.
I've always heard nihilist.
Yeah, but
Don't they say nihilism or nihilist in The Big Lebowski?
yeah, they say nihilist.
Well, then that's how it's supposed
How
to be
you say it.
said. Yeah.
I think in every single language, an I makes an E sound, except in ours. In some cases, when you have a long I,
Oh, interesting.
like there's no. I mean, there's no language where, like E, it always makes an E sound in every language.
Okay.
Anyway,
So, yeah, I see. I feel like this is the best of materialism, right? It's the best you can have while being a materialist. That I'm gonna have fun, explore the universe, try to help make people's lives better. But it still even brings up the question of, but one of the good things about it is all the sorrow you've ever had gets erased. All the bad things you've ever done gets whited out. But it's like, is that good though? Because if everything you endured that was bad and horrible gets erased, yeah, but you still endured it, and you don't get anything after that makes you feel better about it. You just had a shitty life. And for the people who enjoyed doing bad things during this life, that just gets erased as well.
And
right?
and like what he says at the end about just do it feels good.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but most of the things that feel good are crimes.
Well,
And,
I disagree with that.
Immoral. I mean, all kinds of things. I mean, that's why
I disagree with that.
Okay.
Like what feels good to most people? Does stealing feel good for most people? I don't think so.
No, I mean, like, it might feel good to just, bash someone's head in with a hammer. It might feel good.
But that's not for the most people, though. Like, that's for a sociopath. But for most people, it feels good to help somebody, right? Like, there are specific people who enjoy causing other people pain, but that's not most people.
Yeah, but I'm thinking of. I mean, think about it on a scale, not just that extreme, but like a lot of things that feel good, I think, are objectively unhealthy or unhelpful or just bad.
Mm-hmm.
Like smoking feels great for most people. Eating meat feels good and tastes good. Rape probably feels good for people,
but not for
violence.
most people.
Yeah, but I'm just saying you.
Yeah, but you were saying most people, which I get your point.
Well, what I said, most things that feel good are criminal. I mean, I'm being like overly,
right.
Right.
I mean, I think most people feel better when they have been nice to somebody and they've helped somebody and they've been a good person. I think most people feel good at the end of the day. When we
just have diametrically opposed views of human nature, because like, why don't more people do it then? Like, why is everyone such an asshole? It's not like I'm going to do something that's going to make me feel bad, but I'm going to do it anyway. It's like, no, that's what flipping someone off, screaming, taking advantage of somebody, exploiting somebody's weaknesses. All those things feel good to people. That's why they do it. And you have to really, really incentivize people to like do nice things and be charitable or selfless or self-sacrificial.
No, I think most people feel good when they do nice things for people. I think most people, the majority of people, if they were to steal $10,000 from a person, not a corporation, but a person, would feel bad. They might have some immediate gratification, some of the people, and some of the people might feel like, hey, I got away with something. But I think the majority of people would feel bad for defrauding their fellow human being.
I guess the question would be, how do we account for bad behavior? If we grant that people engage in bad behavior on a objectively measurable level, mm-hmm. where it's like, yes, okay, this is how much financial fraud was committed. This is how many packs of cigarettes were smoked. This is how many donuts were eaten. Whatever.
Yeah.
How do we account if people feel good by doing good and being helpful? How do we account for the fact that it's harder to get people to do that than to not? Right. Yeah,
I think because people are focused more on immediate gratification and desperation. I think most people who rob a bank or a liquor store aren't doing it because it feels good, but they need they're desperate and they need the immediate gratification of the money that comes from that.
But if everything we do is meaningless, then why not live? I mean, this makes a lot of sense.
That's that. I mean, I do agree with that point, which is what's talked about in the optimistic nihilism video. Is that everything you do that's bad gets wiped away eventually.
Yeah,
it's like, okay, well then if you are a person who likes doing bad things to people, which is a sociopath, then what's to stop you from? What philosophy is going to possibly stop you from doing that, right? Because there are people where their genes are fucked up. Well,
take like Donald Trump as just an example.
I would like to take him and
feed him into a meat grinder.
Yes.
Like.
Oh, great. Now the Secret Service is onto us.
He, to me, is almost like the quintessential American, like the sort of archetypal, best example of an American. Mm-hmm. He's somebody, he's got no culture. He is a fat taker who has no loyalties other than to himself and who has a track record of just screwing over countless people, from whether we're talking about evicting them unjustly or grabbing them by the pussy, whatever you want, and everything in between, in order to enrich himself. Mm-hmm. And it's like, we talk about him like he's this aberration, and as and as a president, he is a bit aberrant in so far as he's so blatant about his selfishness and greed. But what he actually is the culmination of everything that we've been working toward. Like he's just doing it out in the open. He's doing all the things that everyone does, but he's just doing it on the biggest stage possible. And the philosophy that makes what he does make sense is the quintessential American dream of you can have all this stuff, you can get all this stuff, you can climb the ladder.
Yeah, I think Donald Trump is a bit of an anomaly as far as he is so far removed from everything he's doing to people that's harmful. Like he's not sitting there experiencing the contractor's woes at his house where he can't feed his family.
Right.
He's telling people don't pay them.
Yeah.
And he's not experiencing that. But I think the majority of people have to experience the bad things they do, where he has not almost probably ever, because he was born rich, has had to do that. But
what you're describing is just basic compassion. Mm-hmm. Like being able, compassion literally means to feel with another, mm-hmm. right? And so he has none. But other people do have compassion, and so they think, maybe, this practice I'm engaging in or this thing I'm doing is harmful to other people, and I'm going to think about that and maybe adjust how I live.
Don't you think that the ruler says, "Hey, I want you to go tell the officers to do this," is going to be impacted less by his commands than the commander who actually has to go to the officers and say, "You've got to cross this thing," and you have to watch the look on their faces and know them because they've got their families and all this stuff. That's going to be a lot harder for them than the person who just says, "Hey, go tell the soldiers to take the castle." Or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm living in the medieval times apparently, but yeah, you know what I mean. I think Donald Trump is a horrible human being, but I think he probably has almost never had to go personally evict somebody from an apartment. He's always had someone to do it for him, which has probably turned him into a horrible human being, because intellectually he knows what the bad things that are happening to those people, but practically there's just numbers on a page to him. Mm-hmm. We were able to get rid of all the people in this apartment because they were black, but he's not there going and seeing what that does to those families.
Yeah, and I guess
I'm not excusing him. I'm saying this has made him a horrible person. Yeah,
and I guess bringing it back to the video, it's like, why is that bad? Like, why is pure unbridled greed and capitalism and all that, why is it bad? Unless there's some sort of common good that exists outside of whatever system of laws you live under.
Yeah.
Because if what's good is simply what's legal, then it makes no sense. That's why when people like Jeff Bezos say we paid every penny of income tax that the law requires,
right? And
then of course someone like Bernie Sanders will say, yeah, I know, none. That's the right. We have to change the laws because the laws are wrong,
right?
Because there's something that exists that's higher than the law, that is something that any normal non-sociopathic person should be able to agree on.
Right.
But if there is no, point to anything, then why not just live according to this Wild West kind of might makes right and all that kind of thing?
Yeah, my answer would be that for most people, it does not make them feel good to do that. Mm-hmm. And I think that is where psychologists and psychiatrists come into play, is helping the human race by helping those people who are sociopaths, who don't, feel the need to better themselves or the people around them.
But this is all interesting, really interesting, but it all kind of comes back to God and all that. Because why would we need psychologists to help people feel things they don't feel, like shame or guilt? Mm-hmm. Like, we're not supposed to feel those things. Those things are supposed to be an illusion. But it's like, oh, well, so somebody comes along, because you can look at all these memes on Pinterest, about, guilt is not real, and be yourself no matter what, and never apologize. All this kind of never apologize for who you are. But it's like, yeah, but unless who you are is a bad person. And now we have a whole industry multiple industries whose goals are to make you into something else, namely someone who's able to feel shame and guilt when you do something shameful or guilty.
Yeah.
You know, it's all comes back to the whole God thing.
So are you? I mean, what are you saying though? Are you saying that,
I'm not trying. I mean, I honestly have no.
Yeah, because it seems like the question is not, you know, we need God to feel shame and to have a reason to feel shame and guilt. It's more. It should be more. Does God exist? Like, if He doesn't, then you know, we feel these things. So why do we feel these things? And if He does, we can go, okay, well, this is why we feel these things.
I mean, a lot of the literature, like, I mean, some of that, what it was saying sounds very Deepak Chopra-esque.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you are the universe. I think he actually said you are the universe.
Yeah,
That's the name of one of his books.
I liked that part of it where he was saying that, like the universe is obviously, and the first half of this video is really cool and showing how big the universe is, but it's and we really don't know how big it is, right? Because it's bigger than we can see, right? But he's saying that we are a part of the universe, and we are a part of the universe. Yeah, it might suck if we're just only here for this limited period of time. That's it, and then we die. But at the same time, a lot of the universe doesn't get to experience feeling and you know, happiness and sadness and anger and meaning and love. You know, we at least for 70, 80 years get to experience that, which I thought was like, oh, it's kind of cool to think about. Like, you know, like my car doesn't get to experience any emotions, but it's part of the universe. I'm also part of the universe, but I at least get to have this limited amount of time to experience things. And that to me was like, oh, well, that's, I guess that's better than not experiencing.
Well, what's interesting is so much of this current kind of discussion about self-help and actualization and enlightenment and growth and all these kinds of things. A lot of it is like, how do we justify reintroducing into this cold clinical scientific world all the things that Christianity and other religions taught us without the stuff we don't like, you know? So it's like things about like compassion and ultimate meaning and you know, all these things. It's like this is why, you know, philosophers will say, in order for any of these terms to mean anything, you have to borrow them from a lexicon that includes God or something equivalent to God, because otherwise, it's like the C.S. Lewis thing about you. I didn't know what a crooked line was until I saw a straight line. I wouldn't identify a line as crooked unless I knew what a straight line looked like, right? You know, and it's almost as though we're trying to figure out a way to keep all the stuff that Christianity kind of legitimized and made sense out of, while removing the parts of it that we don't like, whether because they're unscientific or
they
backward.
created a whole host of other problems that are just as bad or worse than the problems we're trying to solve with Christianity.
Yeah. It's just interesting to me, though.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like...
But there are books about it, but you haven't read any of them. Like books about like how we have morals as atheists or that kind of thing.
Oh, no, I mean, like I'm talking about the books I've read are non-Christian the books that take evolution for granted.
Yeah.
But they're trying to debate or push back against a kind of cold clinical scientific view of the world.
But do you see that as some kind of proof that like Christianity or religion is true or has to be true because we have these things?
I don't necessarily think that, but I understand the point, you know.
Yeah.
And whenever I hear somebody refute it or talk about it, it's almost like a straw man, you know, because they'll say things like, "Oh, these Christians, you say that you have to believe in God to be moral." You know? And it's like, no, that's not the claim. It might be the claim of like some dime store, you know, off-brand fundamentalist TV preacher.
Yeah.
But, you know, the idea that like, the point that is often made that doesn't seem like it's being reckoned with is that God must exist, whether you believe in him or not. It doesn't matter if you believe in God. God must exist in order for the categories of good and evil to really have any kind of basis, any kind of philosophical justification for those terms even existing. Because otherwise, it's just purely like, well, this feels good to me. It's like in that stupid Star Wars prequel where it's like the Jedi are.
I don't know what you're talking about.
The Sith are evil. From my point of view, the Jedi are evil.
Yeah.
While I'm surfing around on lava.
I just watched The Empire Strikes Back last night, by the way.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're watching Return of the Jedi this because next weekend we're seeing the last of the Skywalker saga movies.
Yeah.
And we watched Empire Strikes Back, which is, I think it was voted as the best sequel ever, which it is. It's the best Star Wars movie, period.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Well, here's my question though, or not my question, here's your statement. Like there was a time when we didn't understand why the sun rose and set, and so there were gods. You know, we had Apollo, the god who became the god of the sun. You know, because the sun came up, and then you had Thor, and he explained why there was lightning and everything. You know, and so I feel a little bit like you saying, you know, oh well, we had Christianity and that taught us morals is a lot the same way. Well, we had Thor and he taught us thunder. It's like we can at some point. I think we're going to look back and go, well, yeah, we didn't know why we felt this way or why we were evolved this way or taught this way, but we had, you know, these religions that taught us morality. But now we understand that there's other reasons for morality than just, you know, that there's a God and he killed him, he died for you, and he rose from the dead, and now you can go to heaven or hell, and so you better be good so you can go to heaven, you know, or accept his sacrifice, you know, so you can go to heaven.
Yeah.
But it's like, I feel like, 2,000 years ago the questions were different. Why do we have thunder? Oh, because, you know,
God like stubbed his toe.
yeah, he's got a big hammer. You know, Thor's got a big hammer and he's angry. You know, now we have, he was the god of thunder, wasn't he? Thor or lightning or something. So I mean, I feel like we're in a time where we're kind of looking at religion now and going, oh, we now are realizing we have other reasons for morality than like this archaic religion, you know?
Yeah, and I'm the first one to say that, like,
no, I'm the first. You're the second.
That Christianity and at least aspects of evangelical Christianity are holdovers from a time when we needed a God of the gaps to explain these gaps in our knowledge. And the more, you know, this is the God is dead movement, you know, in the sort of 60s, you know, theology of, you know, science has closed so many of these gaps. What's God for?
Yeah.
You know, what do we need him for now? If you don't need God to explain thunder and lightning, or God to make sense out of being a good person. Yeah. I'm just saying this video kind of brought up some of those questions.
Yeah, for sure.
Know?
Yeah.
You know.
For me too.
Yeah.
All right, should we take a break?
Okay.
All right. What do you got there? I know you have, but
I have an old fashioned,
and I have a Sazerac.
And it's delicious.
Cheers. Cheers. You know, there's not much of a difference between an old fashioned and a Sazerac, at least in the recipe book I have.
Well, you have absinthe in there.
Yeah, that's the only difference, I think.
Yeah.
I have absinthe, bitters,
You have
simple syrup, and rye. Oh, well, that's supposed to be bourbon. This is rye.
Well, yeah, but I make when Laura makes my old fashions at Jack's, she makes it with bullet rye.
Which one's more sweet? Is the bourbon sweeter?
I think so. Yeah, it's got a sweeter taste to it.
Whew.
How you doing?
Good. Really good. I have not been drinking much, so I'm probably gonna get just hammered, sloshed.
Yeah, last night was weird. It was weird because like I was bitch about how I never have a day when I don't have to do anything.
You?
Right.
Yeah.
But I actually had that yesterday because you asked me to postpone recording until today.
Yeah.
So yesterday, because Janie's out of town, I'm off work. I'm not scheduled to see my kids. I got nothing to do except go record the podcast with you. So I woke up and I'm like, oh, it's going to be a nice, relaxing day. And then you say, hey, can we push to tomorrow? I'm like, Oh, hell yes. It's on. It's Jason time.
I noticed there was no complaint from you on that.
Yeah, I went to Issaquah. I finally took a shower and got dressed around 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Went to Issaquah, did a couple errands, took my Alice Waters Chez Panisse book to Starbucks, had a cup of coffee, had some food, came home, and I got home, it's like 6:30, and it's time to start my night. And I'm starting like 5 hours earlier than usual.
Yeah.
So I was just like feeling good. I was feeling real good.
What did you do after you got high and drunk?
I watched, I finished Mrs. Fletcher.
Oh, is like the season's over already?
It's only like 7 episodes.
Was it good?
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
And although I kind of want to, we should talk about it.
Okay.
And then I watched an episode of Watchmen, and so I think I'm caught up on that. And there's one more coming out Sunday night, and that's the finale.
Okay. Oh, okay.
And then I watched some music, And I think I went to bed early.
You watched music?
Yeah, on YouTube. I think I went
Did you watch a video of music? Did you watch a video of music?
I watched music. I watched performance of music.
Okay, which one?
I watched
Which performance of music did you watch again?
Again, yeah. I've been trying to find new stuff because
it's the most baffling thing in the world to me that you want to watch a video of music, but then it's even more baffling that you just watch them over and over again.
I know. I have like certain go-to things that I just love, and it's always seasonal. Like it'll be like for a period of 6 months. I'm like, I can't get enough of watching this one band or this one performer or whatever. Last night I watched the second half of U2 Zoo TV Live in Stockholm, 1992. Okay. I watched Post Malone Dive Bar Tour, Bud Light Tour.
He was in your top 5 artists on the Spotify Rap.
I dispute the Spotify findings.
Oh yeah?
They're not accurate at all.
They were accurate for me pretty much.
They were not accurate for me at all.
Okay.
And I watched I think I watched some of the National live at the Sydney Opera House.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And I went to bed around
How many times did you whack it?
1 o'clock.
One? Just once?
Once. Spank. I like taking different metaphors for masturbation and combining them in ways that don't make any sense, like spank off.
Right.
I'm going to crank off. Because you didn't say I'm going to crank one out or whatever.
Yeah.
Or spank it.
I mean, I've never said that.
It's just funny to say I'm going to spank one out. I'm just going to go jack one out. It's just funny to me. But so, okay, Mrs. Fletcher.
Yeah. Let's talk about it.
It's my issue. I like the show.
By the way, just real quick before I forget.
Sure.
Do you think that we should, not now, but eventually, change it so that our chairs are facing each other?
Yeah.
And then
the hard part would be where do we put our drinks? We'd have to have
a little side table. But if we had a little side table,
once we get rid of this desk,
yeah,
I'd be down.
And then we could face each other. We used to face each other when we recorded, but since we've been in this house, we've been at this angle.
Yeah,
which is weird because now it makes sense to be this angle because we're being recorded, but we've been like this every time we've recorded it for the last two and a half years.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's been space. Basically, we didn't have space to sit across from each other and have side tables.
Yeah, we'd have to put our mics on a separate table, and the
mics would have
drinks
to be on a table over here, and then drinks could pot.
But my mic would have to be. I mean, I suppose I could drink with my left hand, but I would prefer to drink with my right hand, which would mean I would want my mic.
I don't think I'm going to be able to accommodate you with that.
This is going to be a problem.
The problem is that I need to control the mixer and stuff, which is right here. Otherwise, I'd sit over there and use my left hand.
Or you could just stay at that angle, and I could face you. Because if you're facing me, the mixer's behind you. Why are we talking about this on the air? It just seems like
we always do.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, I think that would be a good idea to work towards when I get this desk out of here.
Yeah.
That we are facing each other.
So our goal is to eventually work toward facing one another.
Yeah.
Hashtag shoot for the stars.
Yeah. Okay. About Miss Fletcher.
So my issues with it are similar to my issues with that show Euphoria.
Right, which I have not seen.
Worth watching.
Because there's a lot of nudity or because it's really good?
It is good. But like these two shows are similar in that I don't know how representative they are of like high school / college age people.
Right.
And I do. I mean, I
And are they art imitating life, or if it is similar, does it become life imitating art?
Right. Well, I mean, I feel like I don't feel like I'm out of touch because I work with young people. I talk to people who are in their early 20s, even who are in their late teens, like regularly.
Yeah.
And but then I watch a show like the Son, Catherine Hahn's son on Mrs. Fletcher is like this. I mean, they develop him a little bit. I initially balked at the pilot episode. They develop him better as it goes on, but he never ceases to be this kind of like dumbass, kind of monosyllabic, grunting, staring at his phone all day, incapable of any emotional sophistication whatsoever. And it's just like
A troglodyte.
yeah, is this like how? I mean, is this how they are? Are they exaggerating it? I mean, Euphoria is way sensationalized. Like every single character is a trans cam girl or eating fentanyl off the edge of a switchblade or whatever. It's just like this is just like a day in the life where it's like, okay, God, you've taken every single extreme case.
Can you eat fentanyl?
I think it was like she licked it off the edge of it's like powder form.
Okay.
But it's like you're taking every extreme case there is and combining it all into one high school.
Yeah.
Right? So everybody is like some archetype or another.
Yeah.
You know, a rapist, whatever.
Yeah.
In this case, it's not as extreme, but it's just like the guy is so like kind of emotionally retarded. And it's like, I can kind of see how it's that way. I mean, my kids aren't that way. And like Ainsley, for example, you know, she's 15 and she'll tell me like she took driver's training or driver's ed, whatever you call it.
I thought you were going to say she took drugs because I was like going to be like, what?
No.
Okay. She took driver's training. Okay.
But with all Woodinville high school kids.
Yeah.
And she was telling me about it after. She's like, oh my God. Like,
These people are idiots.
yeah. It's like as soon as
But she's really intelligent. I mean,
she's not normal either. She's on the more intelligent, enlightened, brilliant end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
But it's like
she got that from your old wife.
Right. Well, she'll say like, "Oh my God!" There was like a 10-minute break, and as soon as it started, everyone just like took out their phones and just like disappeared, like into their own little world.
Right.
Whereas she took out her book and read it, for 10 minutes.
So they're socializing with people while she is being antisocial.
Well, no, because she'll say the teacher would ask a question like, "What did we cover last week?" And like it's like seriously like Ferris Bueller, like that classroom scene.
Yeah.
Everyone's just like.
Wow.
Yeah, and she's looking around going like, oh my God, like he just asked, and everyone's just staring at him.
Yeah.
And so she'll raise her hand and be like, parking? And he's like, yes, very good, thank you. And what's another thing?
What directions can you go in a car?
Yeah, and no one knows.
Yeah.
And it's like, is it that bad?
Yeah.
Or, you know what I mean? Like, and I know it's not just a generational thing because I was a very emotionally in touch 14-year-old.
Yeah.
I remember the things I used to think about and talk about when I was that age, the things I desired for my life.
I remember the Sports Illustrated swimsuit models that I wanted to do stuff with when I was 14.
Do stuff on.
Yeah. I was going to say jack off to, but I didn't know how to do that when I was 14. So
I wanted to spank off onto them. Yeah, but like, I don't know. It's just kind of like, geez, like, but then he goes in the show. He goes off to college and meets all these people who are kind of like woke, and they're all into social justice and awareness and empathy. And he's the one who's kind of like, what?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What? So it's like maybe the show's saying like, yes, he is not representative because he's running into all these relatively aware people, conscious people.
Right.
But it's just kind of like. It sort of triggers me when I watch it on shows and stuff where it's just like, what?
I mean, I just think there are all types,
Yeah.
I mean, you have just from watching my kids go through high school at Mount High School, Chloe's in their senior year, Zeke and Jonah graduated in 2015. There are all types, even between the kids, but there are in school, you have kids who are sensitive and intelligent, and and then you have kids that are complete idiots and morons. But that you have people who change a lot after high school, which is also interesting because I don't
Chloe,
think.
I mean, speaking of Chloe, I mean, you've been talking about how she's like obsessing over college.
Yeah.
And the other day I asked you, I'm like, oh, so is she all of a sudden regretting like every decision she made for the first 3 years of high school? And you're like, yeah, because you tell me like, oh, she didn't go to school or she's failing.
You should have said,
classes.
and are you regretting how poorly you parented her?
It's a reflection on you. No,
it is a little
we
bit.
We could segue this into what we were planning on talking about anyway, about the red states and blue states, because
okay.
I would ask you to push back or follow up on what you just said. The kids in high school who are intelligent and compassionate and empathetic and aware sound to me like they're the ones who are on their way to becoming liberal. Whereas the kids who are just like, driven by pure either bodily needs or materialistic needs,
Right.
are the ones who are on a different path.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, since you want to go into that, let's do it. There is,
And I'm sure that Brandon from Bellingham, who hates me,
we need to pay. He doesn't.
I'm sure he's gonna see that as me scapegoating people.
I'm sure he's not the only one.
I know he's not.
There was an article in the New York Times called "America's Red State Death Trip: Why does falling life expectancy track political orientation?" And I'll read a couple little paragraphs.
Before you even read the article, though, did you not think to yourself, "Isn't it obvious"?
Yeah,
You weren't looking at the
I didn't need someone to tell me why.
You were
I just
looking
need someone
at,
to say it better than I can.
You weren't looking at the title going like, I can't even imagine why it would be the case that people in red states die sooner
Right.
and are less healthy.
Democratic-leaning areas used to look similar to Republican-leaning areas in terms of productivity, income, and education, but they have been rapidly diverging, with blue areas getting more productive, richer, and better educated. By the way, one of the symptoms of the stroke is that I put the emphasis on the wrong syllable sometimes. So don't laugh too much at me. In the close presidential race election of 2000, counties that supported Al Gore over George W. Bush accounted for only little over half the nation's economic output. In the close election of 2016, counties that supported Hillary Clinton accounted for 64% of output, almost twice the share of Trump country. The thing is, the red-blue divide isn't just about money. It's also increasingly a matter of life and death. So this starts to talk about the death gap. The death gap has widened considerably in recent years as a result of increased mortality among working-age Americans. This rise in mortality has in turn been largely a result of rising deaths of despair, drug overdoses, suicides, and alcohol. And the rise in these deaths has led to declining overall life expectancy for the past few years. And so then it goes on to say the divergence among states is striking, and as I said, it's closely correlated with political orientation. I looked at states that voted for Donald Trump versus states that voted for Clinton in 2016 and calculated average life expectancy weighted by their 2016 population. In 1990, today's red and blue states had almost the same life expectancy. Since then, however, life expectancy in Clinton states has risen more or less in line with other advanced countries, compared with almost no gain in Trump country. At this point, blue state residents can expect to live more than 4 years longer than their red state counterparts. Is this all about deaths of despair in the Eastern Heartland? No. Consider our four most populous states. In 1990, Texas and Florida had higher life expectancy than New York and almost matched California. Today, they're far behind. What explains the divergence? Public policy certainly plays some role, especially in recent years, as blue states expanded Medicaid and drastically reduced the number of uninsured, while most red states didn't. The growing gap in educational levels has also surely played a role. Better educated people tend to be healthier than the less educated. Beyond that, there's been a striking divergence in behavior and lifestyle that must be affecting mortality. For example, the prevalence of obesity has soared all across America since 1990, but obesity rates are significantly higher in red states. Anyway, that's the main thrust of the article.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that if you say what you think, it's just you can't. It's sort of so politically incorrect that you can't even say it.
So do you think, though, that it's mainly policies, or do you think it's just as much the people?
I think it's both. I think that
if we moved to a state where where our insurance was poor and we didn't have Medicaid, and the majority of our food options were fried butter on a stick, would we?
So Mississippi.
I didn't want to say the name, but no, I was actually thinking Alabama. Would we eventually grow to be, eating this, or would we?
I don't think so. I wouldn't.
Okay. So then it's just as much the people as it is the policies, or the policies. The people being raised by those policies.
I think that a lot of the debates about policy come down to different types of people. And I think that there are certain subcultures that tend toward what I would consider that inculcate a kind of less evolved way of being. And one of those subcultures is conservatism. So I think conservatism teaches people to be driven by vengeance and greed and owning the libs. Machoism, owning the libs, right? So it's like, you've talked about the whole thing about F-150s parking in Tesla charging spots to take up so Teslas can't charge.
Yeah.
That's a perfect example. It's like, here you've got this whole host, this ecosystem of like values that makes up who you are. And one of them is fear of change, fear of being challenged, so insecurity. And it makes me feel good to drive my big ass truck with my truck nuts hanging off the back and rolling coal and taking
I should get truck nuts from my Tesla.
That'd be hilarious.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's like, we talked about it last week about needing a foil, needing some sort of like enemy to define you. Because if you don't, if there's no one to argue against, if there's no war against Christmas, or now there's a war on Thanksgiving apparently, then it's, you know what I mean? It's like, so yeah, I'm gonna own the libs by eating my fried butter on a stick and driving my F-150 that gets 8 miles to the gallon, and like in North Bend a couple years ago, the owner of one of the bars made some local news because there was some climate march, and he got out in the intersection and like made some obscene gesture, like pretending like he's like jacking off or whatever. And there were a bunch of kids there.
Yeah.
And then somebody said, "Oh, he happens to be the owner of this particular bar."
I have a very pertinent question to ask you about this when we're done.
Okay, but
don't let me forget.
A bunch of the residents were like, "Oh, I'm gonna have to start going there now."
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, that you're a fucking idiot and you're gonna die early because you're. It's not just that you have the wrong policies; it's that you're a bad person, and it's not just you were born a bad person. You have been inculcated with these values by this conservative worldview. Yeah. Where you're stockpiling guns and you're scared to death, and somebody comes out with a car that you can drive without having to ever get gas, and you hate it.
Yeah.
And somebody wants to give you and your family health care for free, so you don't have to worry about changing insurance every time you get a different job. You don't want that either. Yeah. Someone wants to send your child to college for free, and you hate that, and you're angry about it. Yeah, it's no surprise to me that people who grew up in that culture die earlier. Yeah. And there's other examples, not just conservatism. There are other subcultures that I think are equally dangerous and self-destructive. Yeah. But it's like, you can't say it out loud because you end up sounding like an asshole. And I'm sure this is why Brendan left that 2-part voicemail for me, because he got mad at what I was saying about on this topic before. And I'm sure I'll get more voicemails this time. But it's like, It's obvious, and now there's studies to prove it. Yeah, people who live in Mississippi, the people who live in Mississippi used to live as long as people who lived in California 30 years ago. Now they die 15 years earlier. Yeah, because they're deliberately trying to resist things that make them feel stupid. They don't like being told that the way your granny cooked the grits
was bad for you.
Yeah. Oh, well, you're attacking my heritage, MAGA. You're a socialist. AOC's a libtard.
Yeah.
And it's like,
yeah, you can't. What was the big thing with the big gulps, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever, a while back, where they wanted to restrict the size of the soda you could buy from 7-Eleven.
That was Bloomberg in New York.
That was Bloomberg,
who's now running for president.
Yeah, and people got so upset. Like, what? I can't buy a 48 ounce big gulp.
Yeah, and Sarah Palin.
Like, you don't need
Sarah Palin made a speech.
Drink fucking water.
Yeah, after that happened, Sarah Palin made a speech where she pulled out a big gulp.
I saw that recently.
And it's like, and everyone just went nuts because it's like, yeah, you're owning the libs. And it's like, yeah, you're also going to your grave earlier.
Yeah,
which by the way, I'm fine with.
You also just encouraged, thousands of teenagers to get diabetes.
Yeah,
because they're drinking 48 ounce sodas every day instead of a bottle of water.
Well, that's why I talk about how America is objectively bad and getting worse. It's like you didn't used to see the kind of obesity we see on a regular basis now. I wouldn't see in my entire childhood. But it's like now
I don't know if I agree with you on that.
I see come to the casino for a day.
No. I agree that there are tons of obese people that go to the casino. What I'm saying is that in our childhood that we didn't see obese people anywhere.
I don't remember seeing them and I think probably the national statistics on obesity would bear this out.
Yeah, I'm interested.
There weren't in the 80s. There just weren't the number of obese people, and the level of obesity was nowhere near what it is now. And it's like, yeah, that's but if you're growing up in a red state and you're being raised in a very conservative home that resents when Michelle Obama talks about gardening.
Yeah, or gets mad when she wants to make school lunches healthier or wants to get people to move or whatever.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, no wonder you're so like out of shape and at death's door.
Okay, so here's something that gives credence to what you're just saying. This is from the World Health Organization. It says that
what I just said is giving credence to what the World Health Organization said.
Worldwide obesity has nearly tripled since 1975. So, but that does also mean that it was 1/3 as bad as it is now. Mm-hmm. So, in our childhood, we saw obese people all the time. It's just that it's tripled in how bad it is.
But I don't think we saw. I bet you anything. If I can think of like people like my next door neighbor, I can think of people in my childhood who were fat, who I thought when I was a child, oh, that person's fat.
Yeah.
But if I were to go back and look at pictures of them from back then, they wouldn't look fat.
Yeah.
Not nearly the way people are fat now. I mean,
I've been worried about you lately a little bit. Because you're like a couple pounds over my weight. And I still have got a little bit to get rid of.
Yeah, because I'm 10 pounds thinner than you.
I mean, you weigh 10 pounds less than me, but I've got, my legs.
But I will say this.
And my dick.
And my balls. I got some of my balls. There's a guy I work with who is always like fidgeting with his crotch. And his problem, he says, is that his balls are too big. And he's like, it's horrible because it makes my wiener. He's like, I look like 2 Cadbury eggs with a little Hershey's Kiss in the middle.
Do you remember when you were like getting old enough to where like your penis is starting to like get in the way and stuff? It's like, and it needs to start being moved. You're wearing tighty whities to begin with, so it's like it's in the wrong place. I need to move over, And I remember I had this friend named Sadie. And I spent a lot of time at her house in the summer of, I don't know, it's probably like, it was around the time of Back to the Future, so 80-45, I think. And I remember we walked over to the liquor store, and I was just like, I was feeling like I always have to situate myself. Like I'm unsituated. You
have to rearrange the furniture.
Rearrange things. And I was always trying to like wait until she was like turning a corner, and then I would try over the pants to like situate myself,
Uh-huh.
to where I'm comfortable.
Yeah.
Because it's summer and you've got your tidy whities on, you're walking around.
Plus, when you're that age, you're still like your wiener is man-sized, but your body is still a 13-year-old boy.
Yeah, or giant sized. I'm just kidding. I'm making all kinds of dick jokes. Anyway, I'm at the liquor store and I'm so uncomfortable. And I remember I'm standing with her and there's a guy, and then, I'm just going to state facts. There was a Mexican guy behind him. And I remember he just quickly reached all the way down his pants and underwear and just situated himself and took his hands out.
I do that still. I
Do
do it at work all the time.
Well-
And I know I'm on camera too, because everywhere I go at work, there's.
But you wear
15
boxers,
cameras.
right?
Not at work.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
I started to, but I had to stop.
I have boxer briefs that I bring on the cruise. If
That's
we're,
what
if
I
we're gonna
wear
go
to
walk off of the ship and stuff. Because I don't want to be all just
Yeah. Well,
I don't want to be just all hanging around.
that time when you and
I'm so
Vicky
glad we have video now.
when you and Vicky came to the casino, and I didn't even know I did it, but I did this thing where I moved my leg.
Oh yeah.
And she's like, "Oh yeah, bat wings." I'm like, "What?"
Because we've been talking about bat wings a lot.
I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And she's like, "Yeah, your balls are stuck to the side of your leg." I'm like, "Yeah, exactly."
Well,
I'm like, I thought I was being subtle.
After I saw this guy do this, I just thought,
Oh,
okay, well, there's an adult. I'm 12. This is the normal way to do this. Is you just reach your hand in your pants and situate yourself. And so
Yeah.
for a long time, I would just be wherever I was, I just reach my hands down my pants and situate myself.
Sure.
But it's not really the polite way to do it.
No, it turns out
And the thing is,
maybe it's the Mexican way.
for 20 years at least now, I haven't had to do it really. Every once in a while.
Yeah.
But at that age, I had to do it all the time. And I just thought, yeah, stick your hand down your pants. That's how you do it.
Yeah. What were we talking about? Conservatives?
Yeah, obese people.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that's I don't think it's any
How do
surprise.
obese people do it? They have to
Well, that's don't even get me started.
I won't get you started. Okay. Next topic before we finish.
But do you have any thoughts on this? Like, what are your thoughts?
No,
on
I
it?
think how you hate fat people is fine.
I don't hate fat people. I don't believe in such a thing as fatness. I believe everybody is a perfect, unique snowflake.
You're not fat phobic?
No. If you're 700
I just heard
pounds,
that term for the first time this year. Fat phobia.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you on. I think the nurture in those states, the red states, is driving people to a place where they are obese and unhealthy. And the more, it's just a fact. If you were to take 100 obese people and 100 healthy weight people, the mortality rate would be worse among the obese people than the normal weight people.
Right, and the chances,
not that there aren't unhealthy normal weight people, there are.
And the chances of the let's say the vegan healthy people, the chances of them and then you have the 100 obese people, and it's the politics of those two groups is not going to be that hard to determine, and it's going to be starkly different.
Yeah, you brought it up in the Sarah Palin's thing of bringing up. You're never going to find a progressive Democrat.
You're going to have to pry this Slim Jim from my cold dead hand.
That's going to pull out a big gulp and be like, "Fuck yeah," and drink it.
Yeah,
they're going to be like, "We should drink more water. We should move more. We should have healthier school lunches." While it's going to be the conservatives who are like, "Don't touch our pizza." Although Amy Klobuchar was one of the people who helped get school lunches. They get that. She's one of the people that helped get pizza recognized as a fucking vegetable in school lunches in Minnesota.
Yeah,
so
I heard about that.
So it does cross political lines sometimes, but in general, most progressive people aren't going to go, "Yeah, pizza's a vegetable."
Yeah, but and then this brings up the issue of she's not progressive. Is the real difference is it a Democrat Republican issue as in political parties, or is it a conservative progressive issue with Democrats being more or less conservative depending on But yeah, it's to me it's no, it's not surprising at all.
Yeah.
And it's and it is nurture. It's not nature. It's not that you were born somewhere. You were born in Mississippi, so you're therefore like this. Yeah. It's no, you grew up watching.
Honey Boo Boo didn't become Honey Boo Boo out of the womb.
Right.
She had a mom who
raised her to be
and
we wouldn't know who Honey Boo Boo is if it weren't for our insane capitalist society that likes to
make profit off of her issues.
Yeah. We lift our gods up to the point where we crucify them.
Yeah.
To modify a U2 lyric.
Or as Imagine Dragon says it, kill your heroes.
Oh, I don't know that song.
Really? Oh, it's one of my favorite songs by them. I've been using.
You do remember that we saw them at the Showbox, right?
Dude, so I was playing Oculus Quest last night, Beat Saber, because there's a Imagine Dragons song pack.
Okay.
Oculus Quest being the virtual reality visor, and which I use for exercise regularly. Like I'll put on like exercise other and track my heart rate and everything for half an hour while I play, and I'll burn 300 calories, 400 calories easily, and I'm just like I'm drenched in sweat afterwards. I feel bad for anybody who uses my visor because it's just like it'll just be soaked with sweat for me.
So Imagine Dragons.
Imagine Dragons.
Do you remember we saw them at the Showbox?
Yeah.
No, you don't.
They were great. They were amazing. I mean, that song,
Radioactive,
Believer, Natural. They didn't exist yet. I'm just kidding.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I was playing them last night on Beat Saber, and I thought, I think I've seen these guys with Jason. I think we saw them at the Showbox.
Yeah.
So I did remember.
It's so funny how you like, because you don't remember like a lot of the shows.
It was just me and you, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah, we stood over. I think it was one of the first times we were over on like kind of stage left.
Yeah.
You know, on that side.
Yeah. And we're like, this is the best. The bar is right there. We have a table and a seat.
We didn't have a seat that night.
Oh, fuck.
But I did just see Thievery Corporation there with Janie.
How was that?
Dude, it was unbelievable.
That's the best place to see a concert. Except for Crocodile's pretty good. Crocodile, you're closer and it's more intimate. But the Showbox, if you want to just keep getting drinks and watching a show, and if you get a seat, it's amazing.
Is rare.
Yeah.
But it was so much better than I thought it would be.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I like Thievery Corporation. I've liked them for a long time.
Yeah.
But it's like, and I was going, it was kind of expensive, you know? So I'm like, oh, you know.
$30 a ticket?
No, it was closer to like 40 or 50.
Oh.
You know, and
I'm kind of surprised you went to see them for that much, just because I've never heard you. You actually gave me a CD of theirs with, you like burned some songs.
Oh, did I?
Thievery Corporation to me on like 10 years ago.
It
maybe.
must have been that. I was going to say it must have been ages ago.
Yeah, and I really liked it.
Yeah.
But I don't know their stuff, which is why I didn't go.
Right.
Big Wild played at the Showbox on the 23rd of November.
Did you?
I really like their stuff a lot, but I didn't go.
Well, when we were buying, because I bought the tickets for all of us for Wax Taylor. And then the same day.
Thanks for that.
Yeah. Thanks for ruining that show.
Gave me a stroke.
Yeah, thanks for ruining that.
Yeah.
And I bought the Thievery, and it was like, that's when I said, oh, hey, everybody, these tickets are, you know, more than twice as much as Wax Taylor. And I basically even said to Janie, like, I'm okay not going if you don't want to pay this much. And she's like, no, I definitely want to see them. I'm like, okay, we're going.
So she knew their music.
Yeah, she knows their music too. It was like so much better than I thought. You know, it's like when we saw Arcade Fire, which you probably don't remember.
Dude, I remember where we saw it. We saw it at the
WAMU.
It wasn't the WAMU theater. It was
the one over in the U
district. It was UW. It was at UW's theater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where there was one of those things where it's like, oh my God, like live, you guys are so amazing. Yeah. It was so
And
good.
that was back in the day when they first came out with the Neighborhood number 3, that album that had.
Well, they were touring their second album, which is like I think the best tour to see them on, because it was after that I think they started kind of declining a little bit. But
what's the band name that we saw at Showbox that is one of our favorite concerts we ever saw?
Robert DeLong?
I mean, that's my favorite concert I've seen there. No, the guy who was walking on the railing.
Oh, Kaiser Chiefs.
Yeah, they were great.
They were amazing. I was telling Janie about that. I was trying to count up all the shows we saw there.
Yeah, we've seen quite a few.
And we've seen.
I mean, almost any band that I know really well, I will want to see there if they're playing.
And what's cool is that we saw shows there. We saw bands there that now play arenas. Like Imagine Dragons plays arenas now. You know, 20,000 seat arenas.
So
we saw them at the Showbox, which
was Crystal with us for Imagine Dragons? I think she was.
Maybe.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that concert, and Youngblood Hawk opened for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that concert now. I remember we were over to the right that time.
Yeah.
Kind of back in that bar area. Yeah, I remember it really well.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
So if you live in a red state, you're gonna die. Next.
Yeah, move to blue states. Or annex. No, not annex. What's the opposite of annex?
Secede?
It's got to be an antonym to annex, right?
I don't know.
Annex.
Denex.
Antonym.
Denex.
Hold on. We'll get there.
Okay, everyone's sitting on the edge of their seats.
I'm actually really curious. Detach, disconnect, disjoin, separate.
Or secede.
But they have to do the secession. We can't secede them.
Oh, right.
We can detach them.
That's
Annex is we bring somebody in.
Yeah, we take
right.
them.
So secede.
I want us to like de-annex the entire South. That's a big ice ball.
Yeah.
Dude. Yeah, I would absolutely be thrilled with this whole Cascadia experiment.
What's that? Nevada, California, Oregon, and Washington?
No,
seceding?
It depends on which version of it. It's either Northern California.
What's your version that you like? Do you want Nevada in there? Do you want as many possible, or you just want like a few cool states that you like?
Like I haven't really thought about like the different, like the pros and cons of the different versions. Some of them have California, Nevada, Oregon, Washington, and BC, British Columbia, or parts of BC. Some of them,
are they leaving? They're seceding from Canada.
Yeah, some of the versions of it are just like Southern BC, Washington, Oregon, and Northern California. I'd be thrilled though with that. It's like
what about Montana though?
I suffer from guilt by association a lot, and I know it's a bad it's the lingering Protestantism.
Is it hard for you to be friends with me?
No, you're all right.
Okay.
But it's the lingering Protestantism in me that's still there. It's like this residual need to like
protest something,
not to protest something as much as to separate myself and to divide into ever diminishing sized groups
until
there's no one left but
you and me alone in an island somewhere,
or
going like we did it,
or you and me alone on a podcast.
Right.
Yeah. Like I know the higher road is to bring in, like we need to go to the South and bring them in.
No, not the South, but like can't we bring in Montana? Like Montana, I think is just one of the most gorgeous states in the country.
Well, part of the issue with Cascadia is it has to do with like the
I know we have to go through Idaho, I think,
but it's a
bring in that top part.
It has a thing about
them off.
There's some topographical and there's something about the biosphere or something that there's something
that is.
There's something similar about these northwestern or Pacific Northwestern states.
Like actually geographically.
Yeah, that's like these states like fit together in a way that they're unique in this way, and so that
I don't think California fits with that.
Northern California
does.
Yeah, and that's,
the biosphere means the regions of the surface, atmosphere, and hydrosphere of the Earth occupied by living organisms. So we have something that's unique about our biosphere between Washington, Oregon, and Northern
You'd have to look at the Cascadia Wikipedia entry.
But you like Southern California.
I do.
I want to bring them just because of our economy, and all the really good Mexican food.
Yeah. I'd be okay with that too.
Yeah.
Imagine like a country.
Dragons.
Imagine a country that was made up of California, Oregon, Washington, and British Columbia.
Yeah, everybody. Who wouldn't want to come here?
We would be just so badass.
Yeah.
We could come up with our own money.
Yeah.
We could put like Hugh Hefner on our $100 bill. Who gives a shit? We could do whatever we want. We don't even have to call them dollars. We can call them anything we want.
Yeah, but we should have some kind of. Do we have some kind of rule? And is the rule moral, political,
about how to join us?
Physical? Like, do you have to fit these physical qualifications? Do you have to fit these moral qualifications? Do you have to fit these political qualifications?
Well, I think
Who gets to come? Does anyone from Alabama get to just go like, I want to be there?
I don't think so. I don't know. I mean, right now, are there other
Do they
than
have to
like
take a test? Is there an IQ test? Is there a
but other than territories, are there? I mean, countries are usually defined by some landmass that they're all connected, unless you count like Puerto Rico's a territory, Hawaii's a state. The French part of the Caribbean is France, even though it's nowhere near France. But it's like, but those are exceptions.
Sure. Yeah.
But I do think that like we are weakened by our country being so large, right? We don't have any national sense of national identity or shared culture. When you have that many accents,
because if we were Africa, we would be 30 countries, right? Like if our continent.
Oh, if
not our continent, but the United States of America was a continent, it would be, and it was Africa, it would be 30 countries.
Yeah, just
not
like
50 states.
Yeah, or Europe. Just like Europe is like,
Right.
all these distinct countries, but we have that as a country.
Right.
So, and I think it's a drawback. I mean, it gives us strength, of course, obviously.
And Alabama is as different as Washington is from France to Italy, right? Other than like they have
they share a language.
Other than language,
Yeah.
we share a language with Alabama, but other than that, our cultures, what we eat, everything is like pretty different. Our political leanings is really different.
Yeah.
And so it's like Europe being forced to be one country, which is what's happening in the United States.
This actually kind of touches upon Claire Thacker's voicemail about Brexit, but I don't think we have time to really get into that. The whole thing of England trying to leave the European Union and the clusterfuck of that whole attempt. Yeah, but I mean, it's like obviously are we stronger because we're so big and diverse? I'm not convinced we are.
Yeah. I think we were at some point, but we became so diverse that I think that it weakened us. Like I think early on there wasn't a huge difference between California and Alabama.
Like if you have to start a GoFundMe campaign to pay for your chemotherapy and you live in fucking California, you wouldn't have to do that if Cascadia were a country,
right? Because
you'd be largely like we'd presuppose most of the things we argue about now, like universal health care, climate, action, and all that. That would all just be presupposed.
Who's Cascadia's president?
They'd have to come up with some sort of governing parliamentary system.
Seems like Gavin Newsom.
I'd vote for him.
I think he should be our president.
Yeah. There, you're elected, Gavin. You know what I mean? But it's like, I think that diversity is not always conducive to the common good.
Yeah, diversity can fuck off.
Fuck off, diversity.
Yeah. I want all white, bald males with some like hot women in there too.
Yeah.
Just kidding. I've had 2 cocktails, so I'm drunk now because I'm not used to drinking.
Chris is a lightweight now.
Yeah.
Even though he still weighs 10 pounds more than me.
I hope relatively 2 pounds less.
Not really.
I hope I don't have a stroke from having these drinks. All right. Do you got a Bieber?
Yeah, I do.
All right.
Yahoo.
Hit me.
Yahoo. If your only marketing strategy for promoting your search engine,
you're talking about the Yahoo search engine?
Yes.
It still exists?
Yes, it does, because I went to Google image search artwork for our restaurant today.
And Yahoo plays a big part in Halt and Catch Fire, especially towards the end.
Well, it's time to pack it up, because if your only marketing strategy is we're going to change people's default search engine against their will for going to some sketchy website.
Yeah.
Because that's literally the only.
Is Yahoo like 20 people in the building now going like, how do we get back in?
I don't know.
Or are they a huge organization where it's like they still have millions of people?
Today I searched for something just in the address field of my browser and hit return, and it came up with Yahoo results. And so I had to go to settings, manage search engines, and right click Google and say set default. Mm-hmm. I never changed my default from Google. But Yahoo's only marketing strategy is changing
I think you did at some point.
No,
I want to push back on you on this.
this happens.
I don't think your search engine can be your default search engine can be changed without you at some point clicking OK.
No, I never. This happens to me probably 3 times a month.
You know how many times it happens to me?
None.
None. Because you somewhere along the lines are going, I don't care what this box says. I just want it to go away. And you're clicking on like OK or yes or whatever.
No, it's not true. But I go to
Give us
sketchy.
a call. 213-97-DRUNK.
I go to sketchy websites though.
Yeah.
Like I'll go to there's certain websites I go to where it's like I'm
like
looking
Pornhub with 2 B's. Dot
P-
EDU.
P-O with umlauts over it. P-O-R-N with umlauts.
Right.
Hub with U with umlauts.
Pornhub.
Hub. No, but I go to like I can see my McAfee thing up in the corner.
Well, that guy is crazy.
But it'll
John
show
McAfee.
it'll show you the number of things trying to like ping you or whatever they try to do.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes like today it was like I was on TMZ and I saw something about something else like remember this girl from the little kid from the 80s sitcom? Look what she looks like now. And I'm like, click. No, it was the thing about Terry Hatcher.
Okay.
You know Terry Hatcher from Desperate Housewives?
Yep.
There's a whole thing about how I guess she gained a bunch of weight and lost a bunch of weight, and she took these like body
That's
positive.
like me and you.
Right.
Yeah.
She took a bunch of body positive bikini pics,
Okay.
you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay, I want to click this. And it's like I'm seeing the McAfee thing. Like, oh, there in the 9 seconds I was on this website, 42 different things are trying to attack me or whatever.
Yeah.
You know? That's how it happens.
Hmm.
I don't click anything saying okay. But it happens at least 3 or 4 times a month where I search for something and it comes up with Yahoo results. And then I have to go. But it's like, that's my point. It doesn't even matter if I click something. Your search engine should be good enough to where you don't have to like basically rape me by imposing your will on me.
What's the difference?
Well, it's like you're imposing your will on me by changing my default setting against my will. That's your strategy for your company.
Yeah.
Like time to do something else. Pack
Right.
it up,
Right.
close the doors, turn off the light switch, and walk away.
Yeah.
It's not you've lost the search engine war.
Yeah.
And Google reigns supreme.
Yeah.
And if you
But they're probably still making $1 billion a year. You know?
Right.
Like that's the thing. Why close up? We still have, a bunch of 80-year-olds. We still have a bunch of octogenarians that haven't figured out how to change their search engine since 1994.
Right.
So let's just keep going as long as we can.
Yeah, my parents probably don't know the difference.
Right.
But it's like people who do, it's like, oh God, now I've got to go through and go back to make Google default again.
Right.
It's annoying. It's beeper. That's my beeper.
My beeper is the amount of calories that are in one serving of nuts.
Number of calories.
The number of calories. Because it's not a lot. And it's a lot of calories, but it's not a lot of nuts.
Yeah, the other day you had a little dish with like 4 cashews in it, and you're like,
Yeah.
this is 250 calories.
Yeah, because I have an app called LifeSum where I just kind of keep track of what I'm eating and drinking, and I'll get to the end of the day and I'm like, oh, I've got like 400 calories left to eat today if I'm gonna stay within the range of this app, and I'll be like, what should I have? I want something that's gonna satisfy me.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have some nuts, and so I pull out my canister of extra fancy nuts
Kirkland
from
brand.
Yeah, from Kirkland, and pour them into a bowl, and it's like there's like this many nuts. It's like this many nuts, and it's like 400 calories.
Yeah.
Because I think it's 180 calories for an ounce, and an ounce of nuts is like 10 nuts. Yeah. And I'm just looking at it going, so if I ate my entire daily allowance of calories in nuts, it would be like this. It'd be like this cup.
Yeah, like a tumbler.
Yeah, it would be like this size is 2,000 calories, maybe a little more than this, but 2,000 calories.
Okay.
Or I can have steel cut oats with banana and blueberries, and then I can have a smoothie, and then I can have some avocado toast, and I can have a salad, and I can have some pasta. And that's 1,800 calories. Or I can have this much of nuts, and it's just like, what? These things are supposed to be like the healthy, like satisfy you, It's like peanut butter. 2 tablespoons is 190 calories. And I'm just like,
see, 190 calories doesn't sound like a lot to me.
that's 1/10 of your whole daily thing. And that's not a lot. It's 2 tablespoons.
1,900 calories is all you're supposed to have a day?
Yep, you lost the game.
No,
what?
I'm still in the game.
2,000.
Do you know what the game is? No, that's not the game.
What's the game?
The game, I learned this from Mueller, she wrote.
Yeah.
We're all in the game
Okay, yeah.
until you're out.
I learned it from Drunk Ex-Pastors when we were doing it.
What was the game that we did?
It was something, I don't remember, but I remember we lost all the time. It's like when you think about the game, you're out or something like that.
Yeah, that's right. No, Mueller, she wrote, they have this thing about the game is until you hear Last Christmas I Gave You My Heart, but it has to be the Wham version.
I already heard it this year.
No, but once you know the game exists, now you're in the, so now you are now in the game.
Okay.
And the minute you hear against your will, not like purpose, I can't play it for you to force you out of the game. Once you hear Last Christmas, the Wham version that George Michael sings, you're out.
I'm already out.
No, but you're not out until you know you're in. So now you know you're in. So now you can.
So what if it's playing again next time I'm playing cards at Phil and Steph's?
Then you're out.
Well, I'm gonna be out.
Yeah,
for sure.
I'm surprised I'm not out yet because I hear that song all the time.
Yeah.
But ever since a couple weeks ago on a Mueller She Wrote episode, they talked about this. I'm like, okay, I'm in the game. And it's like I keep waiting. And the other day I got in the car to drive it down at the casino, and it's like that song was on, but it was a different version. It wasn't George Michael. I'm like, okay, I'm still in the game.
So you can't even like if you hear it for a split second, you can't like turn off the volume.
No, if you hear it, you're out.
Okay, just even like one
At
note
all.
of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the game.
Good. I didn't know I was in the game last weekend.
You're in the
when I
game
heard
now.
it.
But
Yeah. Anyway, I just can't believe it's
okay,
just like,
explain this to me. Like maybe it's because of my job, but it's like
how could I gain pounds on nuts? Like if I ate 2,000 calories is if I want to like keep eating a bit less than I'm supposed to, which is like helping me lose weight. I think my TDEE total daily expenditure, energy expenditure is 2,500 calories general for somebody with my job, what I'm doing.
yeah. So
Supposedly if I eat 2,500 calories
or fewer,
or
you lose weight.
but if I eat 2,500, I stay the exact same weight.
I don't believe that.
Well, no, because I think I don't know. I agree with you because there are calories. If I eat 2,500 calories of Oreos, I'm going to gain weight compared to eating 2,500 calories of apples.
Right.
Right. But anyway, if I eat 2,500 calories of nuts, it's not enough to feed me to satisfy me the whole day. I'd be like, I could eat that by noon and be like, well, now what do I eat? But I can eat tons of other stuff. I can like saute zucchini and put it on quinoa, and I can make pasta. I made homemade marinara sauce last night. And it was 500 calories, but I couldn't even eat it all.
I don't understand.
But
Like,
nuts.
why I lost like a couple years ago. I lost like 20 pounds, and then it took I don't know over the course. It
That was
happened
like a year ago.
No, it was longer ago than that.
I felt it was like a year ago you started losing weight, and then you got the job at the casino a few months later.
It was like the spring. I think I had lost the weight by spring or summer of like
2018.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's like once I lost about 20 pounds over the course of like, I don't know, 4 months, 5, 6 months. I don't know. I wasn't nearly as meticulous and like, detailed about it as you, obviously. I would just be like, oh, I'm going to eat like, I'm going to get some spinach and some chicken and saute it with a little bit of Thai peanut sauce and have a low carb tortilla and wrap it up and eat that.
Right.
Stuff like that. It wasn't like I wasn't checking. I'm just like, this sounds like it'd be healthy, and it worked. But then like since then, I've done nothing.
Yeah, but dude, you're walking and exercising more than most people do on a job. Like that's what I'm curious about is when you start at the restaurant in May of 2020, like are you all of a sudden going to be like
gaining weight? I'm wondering too because I didn't start at the casino until February, but I had at least an entire year before I had that. Yes, I did.
You just told me spring of 2018 is when you started losing weight.
No,
I started in February of 2019.
I had lost it all by then. I lost it all by like spring of 2018.
When did you start? Because we went on that cruise, the DXP cruise, where we both weighed or looked the same, in January of 2018.
I remember
So you started losing right after that cruise?
When did we take French?
That was in spring and summer of 2018 when we took French, because we stopped French around July or August of 2018. July. We stopped in July of 2018.
Like I feel like I was in the process then, but I know that there was a significant amount of time before I had this job at the casino.
There wasn't more than 5 or 6 months, in my opinion. And in my opinion, you were getting to where you were starting to lose weight when you started the job. It's my memory of it. I also had a stroke.
That's for sure not true.
I'm gonna put that on the end of everything. I also had a stroke.
Yeah, my point is that it's like I don't understand the science or the math at all of weight loss, because it's like I don't like yesterday I ate at Mod Pizza.
Yeah.
You know?
Maybe you're dying.
Oh, that'd be cool. Or I have a parasite. Dude,
yeah, maybe
that
you have
would
a
be
worm.
sick. I want a tapeworm.
Yeah. I've heard there's some kind of diet where they'll put a worm inside of you. And
sign me up. It's like bulimia, but better, if possible. Anyway.
And with that.
Yeah, bye.
See you later.
Early to rise, early to bed. And in between I cooked and cleaned and went out of my head. Going through life with blinders on, it's tough to see. I had to get out from under and look for me. There's a new girl in town and she's looking good. There's a fresh, freckled face in the neighborhood. There's a new girl in town with a brand new style. She was just passing through, but if things work out, she's gonna stay a while. Bum, 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 bum.
Hey guys, I was just listening to your most recent podcast, and I thought your conversation around capitalism and climate change was really interesting. And what I find so ironic with the right and the so-called conservatives is that they're actually liberals. Like, I mean, they are classical liberals in the way they view economics and the market, and they want to inject this kind of liberty and individuality into the market through people like Adam Smith, self-interest. But, you know, we can't distinguish that economics and the way we participate in economics from the kind of liberalism that they get so angry about. You know, I mean, we're all liberals in a sense in how we view the world through the lens of the individual, and the autonomous individual is king, right, over their own life, in contrast to the kind of classical Aristotelian sense of that the society, what we hold in common, pursuing the common good together as a community, that's what, you know, sharing in a common life together, that's what we hold together. So it's just interesting, and it's ironic. The conservatives, I think it's funny, and I thought your conversation really kind of brought some interesting things to light about that. And I think we're going to struggle with a lot of these issues today until we can return to the sense of the common good and what we hold together as human beings, and also with Aristotle, the idea of virtue and what it means to live the good life. And I think that's one of the things that political liberalism and economic liberalism really kind of break down, that's really detrimental to our society. So I thought that was really interesting, and keep up the good work. Dick Bush out.